Last class, we have seen some formal notations and definitions, and we stopped that class with a claim that the set of all languages over a non-empty alphabet set is uncountably infinite. And today we start with a proof for the claim that the set of all languages of a non-empty alphabet set is uncountable. Okay, so what's it? So the claim is that the set of all languages over a non-empty alphabet set sigma is uncountably infinite. So what do you mean by uncountably infinite? That means the infinite set whose elements cannot be listed in any order, or you cannot say which is the first element of the set, which is the second element of the set, etc. And here the set is the set of all languages. When we say that the set of all languages is uncountably infinite, we mean no one can say what is the first language, what is the second language, what is the third language, etc. So no one can list the languages in some order. Okay, and now we are going to prove that it is uncountably infinite by using the method of contradiction. Hope that you find a proof, but we can see how one can do it. So for the purpose of contradiction, assume that you can arrange the set of all languages in some order. Okay, so this is like a game. We are saying that it is uncountable, and our opponent is saying that no, it is countable. Then we are asking the opponent, then why don't you give us the order in which you list? Assume that the opponent is giving you this order. This is an order in which you are getting the set of all languages. The opponent is saying this is the L0 is the first language, L1 is the second language, L2 is the third language, etc. Then the question, and what is this language, say L4? If you consider, for example, so what is L4? And L4 is this set A, and then AB, then AAA, etc. Okay, so what is it? It's represented by a binary string. So first element is 0 means epsilon is not present. Second is 1 means A is present. So that is A is here. And then the next element present is AB because of this one. So AB is here, and the next is AAA, which is there. Likewise it goes. And maybe for another example, you consider L6 also. Okay, so what is L6? So A is present, then AA is present, next is AA, and after that what is present? After that BB is present. Okay, so likewise it goes. I hope now the binary representation is clear to all of you. Okay, these are two languages. Okay, so now recall the situation. We are claiming that this is not possible, this listing is not possible. Then our opponent is saying, no, it is possible. I am giving you a listing where all the languages on sigma star are listed, and these are the order in which it is listed. Okay, some languages. He is giving us an arbitrary listing. And now our aim is to fail him. And for that, what we are doing is, we will go for a diagonalization argument. And what is diagonalization? So you look at the diagonal of this table. This is the diagonal. Okay. So what is the elements on the diagonal? 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, etc. It's a nice example. So we have these elements. So we are saying that the diagonal is the set 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, etc. So that is the diagonal. Okay, this is the diagonal. Okay, no doubt this is the diagonal. Okay, just take the diagonal and now you find the complement of this diagonal. What is the complement? Complement, you know, binary complement means you replace 0 with 1 and 1 with 0. So you will get 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, etc. Okay, this is the complement. Okay, this is just the complement of it. Yeah. Then what do you do with this complement? So I am now going to claim that this is a language, that is the complement is representing a language which I name as the language of complemented diagonal. Language of complemented diagonal. And what is it? As this binary string represent, it means first is 0, that is epsilon is not present. Second is 1, that is A is present. Third is 0, that is B is not present. So actually alternate elements are present. So the elements are A, then AA, then BA, etc. So this is the language of alternate strings for this diagonal, right? So what we did is, we took the diagonal and we found the complement of that diagonal, which is a binary string, and we are looking at the language represented by it. Any binary string is representing a language. The ith element is 0, meaning ith element is not present. Ith element of sigma star is not present. If the ith bit of the string is 1, means the ith element of sigma star is present in that language. So any binary string is representing a language, and this is a language. Now the question is, the opponent is claiming that she or he has listed the languages in some order. Now we are asking him, then where is LCD listed? According to her or him, it is coming in this table, right? Otherwise, the opponent is not correct, and that is what we are trying to see. So we are asking the opponent, so where is this language LCD listed? Now if the opponent says that it is L0, we will say no, it is not L0, because in L0 the first element is present, epsilon is present, but we complemented it because to get this, and so the first element is not present. In other words, LCD differs from L0 in the first position, and LCD differs from L1 in the second position because we complemented the diagonal, and LCD differs from L2 in the third position. Likewise, LCD differs from every Li in the ith position. Okay, so we have constructed a language which is a possible language over sigma, and which is not listed here. So regardless of whatever listing that the opponent is giving, we got a contradiction that at least one language is not in the listing. So this is a contradiction. And now the conclusion is that no one can list the set of all languages in an order. So the set of all languages is not a countably infinite set. It is in fact an uncountably infinite set. Okay, so that is the proof for this claim, and with that, let us move on to the next definition, which is concatenation of two languages. Let L1 and L2 be two languages. Then their concatenation is defined as L1 concatenated with L2, that is L1 dot L2, which is equal to the set of all strings U concatenated with V, such that U is from the language L1 and V is from the language L2. Okay, to understand what it is, consider an example. Given L1, these two strings, and L2, three strings. And what is L1 concatenated with L2? Even without this dot, you can write L1, L2. What is L1, L2? It is ABC concatenated with epsilon, ABC concatenated with A, ABC concatenated with BB, Then AABA concatenated with epsilon, then AABA concatenated with A, and AABA concatenated with BB. So these are the 6 strings that you are getting. Okay, so if there are m elements in the first language and n elements in the second language, in L1, L2, you are going to get m into n number of elements. I think with this example, the formal definition is clear, and with that, let us move on to the next slide where we are going to formally define a deterministic finite state automaton. Given an example automaton, which is actually the one for accepting odd number of A's, okay, strings over AV with odd number of A's. To formalize the definition, we can collect the various components in this automaton. The first component is the set of states. See, here there are only 2 states, E and O. Okay, so the first component in the definition is the set of states, finite set of states. And the second component is the start state. Okay, an element of the set of states which is known as the start state. Here, E is the start state. Okay, and third one is the transition, and before that we are going to see the set of finite states. Okay, in this given example, only one finite state is there. But in general, there could be one or more finite states. Okay, there are 3 components listed now: the set of states, the start state, set of finite states. In this example, only one. And the only other component remaining is the set of transitions, that is represented by the edges in the graph. First transition is delta EA is equal to O. The meaning is that if you are in the state E and if you are getting the symbol A, where will you go? You are here and you are getting an A. You are going to the state O, and that is a transition function. Delta EA means if you are in the state E and if you are getting A as input, then the next state is O. Okay, so this is a transition function or next state function. Okay, so these are the only 4 components to define a DFA over a given alphabet set. Formally, a deterministic finite state automaton A over an alphabet set sigma is a structure of the form QS delta F, where Q is the finite set of states, example here, and S is an element of Q known as the start state. So only one state designated as the start state. And then the next component is the transition function. What is it? From a given state, for an input symbol, what is the next state? Okay, or from a given state, if you get an input symbol, where will you go? It is defined by the transition function. Example, delta, if you are in E and if you are getting A, you are going to the state O. Okay, is the transition function. And the last component is a subset of Q, that is a subset of states known as the set of finite states. Okay, if you recall the substring automaton or the automaton for not containing certain substrings, there are one or more finite states. In this example, only one, but in general, there could be a number of finite states. It could be any subset of Q other than the null set, because if capital F is the null set, then the automata is not going to accept any string, and is a trivial one, is not interesting. For all other cases, F could be a non-empty subset of Q. Okay, that is the definition of DFE. With that, let us proceed. We have to define the language now. To define the language, we need 2 more notations. So this is what we have seen. Transition function delta is defined mathematically like this. From a given state, for an input symbol, what is the next state? Okay. Example automaton is given. In the example, delta P0 comma A. That is, if you are in P0, you are reading A, where will you go? You will go to P1. And that is what it is saying. delta of P0 comma A is equal to P1. Or in other words, delta P0 A defines the state to which the DFA moves when it reads the symbol A from the state P0. Okay, now we are going to extend the transition function to define what is called an extended transition function. If you recall, in a transition function, you are taking a single symbol, you are reading only a single symbol. Extended means you are trying to find from a given state, if you read a string, okay, one or more input or zero or more input, where will you go? For example, suppose you are in P0 and you read the string AB, where will you reach? In which state you will reach? And that is delta cap. Delta cap takes the second argument as a string. Delta takes the second argument as a single letter, but delta cap takes a string. Okay, that's the difference. And it is in this example it says delta cap of P0 comma AB is equal to P2, meaning if you start at P0, then the state to which the DFA moves when it reads AB from the state P0 is P2. Is that correct? You are here, you want to read AB, B. So P2, that is correct. Okay. So if you rewrite mathematically, you can say that this thing, that is delta cap of P0 comma AB is equal to delta of Q2 comma B. That is, if you reach into Q2, and then where will you go for B? And that is what is delta cap of P0 comma AB. Okay, that is correct. But what should be this Q2? This Q2 should be the state to which you will reach when you read this part of the input. Okay, that is, if you read ABA from P0, where will you reach? If you reach in Q2, then the LHS can be defined as delta of Q2 comma B. See, here it's only a single symbol, and that is why I am applying the function delta. If this is 0, if this is a string, I have to apply delta cap. So basically, to find this, what you do, you see on ABA, where will you reach? Suppose you reach in Q2. Then from Q2 on B, where you will go. Okay, that's it. And with this, we can say that delta cap of P0 comma AB is nothing but this thing. What is it? Delta of Q2 comma B. What is Q2? Delta cap of P0 comma ABA. That is delta of, this is Q2. Exactly this definition. Comma B. Okay, hope you followed. Otherwise, please watch it again. And with that, let me formalize the definition of extended transition function. Of an extended transition function, delta cap, which tells you if you process a string from a state, where will you go, can be recursively defined as delta cap of Q comma epsilon. That is, if from the state Q you process the empty string means you are not going to read any input, then you will end up in Q only, the same state. And suppose you are going to read the input string WA, that is a string W followed by the simple A, then where will you go for Q? This is defined as where will you reach for W from Q? You take that state, then you apply delta on A. Okay, first you go to a state using W, from that you go to a state using A. Okay, that is how it is defined. Hope you understand what I am saying. And with this, now we are going to define the language accepted by an automaton A. The language accepted by a deterministic finite state automaton A, denoted as L of A, the language of A, is defined as the set of all strings W such that the processing of W from S reaches a final state. That is, the delta cap of S comma W is an element of capital F Meaning, if you process W from the start state, you will end up in a final state. That is the definition formally. Okay. Or simply, if there exists a path in the graph from the start state to a final state, then the string is accepted. And the language is the set of all such strings. Okay, so that is how you define the languages. For example, for odd number of A's, this is the set of strings accepted with odd number of A's. Okay, with that, let us move and define what is a regular language. A language is called regular if there exists a deterministic finite state automaton A such that the language is generated by that automaton. Okay, the language of A is L. For a deterministic automaton A, then L is called regular. Okay, so all the languages generated by the set of all deterministic finite state automaton is called regular language. Examples: L1. The set of all strings over AB said that number of A's is odd and number of B's is odd. For this you can have a DFA and hence regular. Another language. Strings over AB said that ABA is a substring in X is regular because you can find a DFA for it. Then the set of all strings over AB starting with A and ending with B. You can have a DFA, hence it is regular. Another one, the set of all binary strings X said that X is the binary representation of a number which is a multiple of 5. The design of a DFA was given as an assignment, so you have a DFA and hence the language is regular. Another example is the set of all strings not ending in a C style comment. We had a DFA for it, so that again is a regular language. So if there exists a DFA for a language, the language is regular. Okay, and with this we are moving to the last slide of this lecture. And suppose this universal set is the set of all languages. Then I am claiming that regular set is a subset of the universal set. Then an interesting question is, are there any non-regular languages? Or in other words, are all languages regular? No, that is not correct. There are non-regular languages. The answer is yes. And you can later see that in fact there are uncountably many non-regular languages. So it is a very complex large set. There are uncountably many non-regular languages. And why is it that it is uncountable? Maybe we will prove it towards the end of the course. And with this we are finishing this lecture. I hope you follow, and please do all the assignments that I have given, and in the next class we will start discussing the next topic. Thank you.